Love him or hate him, Lewis Hamilton is one of the biggest stars to ever be at the helm of an F1 car. From his days making a name for himself at McLaren to dominating the sport at Mercedes, Lewis has definitely been through the lowest of the lows and highest of the highs in his career. And the script doesn't stop there, as now the 7-time world champion has been threatened by his former adversary during his days at McLaren, Felipe Massa. So what is to come for Lewis this time around? All that and more, so be sure to stick around. The Formula One world is buzzing with the possibility of Lewis Hamilton losing his first world title. Felipe Massa, the Brazilian racing driver, is reportedly considering a legal challenge that could strip Hamilton of his 2008 championship win. As the racing community awaits Massa's next move, Hamilton has shared his plans to stay in F1 ahead of the 2023 season. However, former British F1 star Tiff Needell has weighed in, assuring fans that Hamilton is unlikely to lose his title. Needell emphasized that cancelling events now, 15 years after Hamilton's win, would be unfair. After Felipe Massa announced that he is exploring legal options to challenge Lewis Hamilton's 2008 title win following remarks made by former F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone alleging that FIA chiefs knew about Renault's alleged fixing of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, Tiff Needell, former British F1 star, cautioned against stripping Hamilton of his crown at this stage. Needell stated that doing so would also be an unfair fix and elaborated on his viewpoint in an interview with Express Sport. "You can't cancel it now. From that race on, people ran tactics from the points that were on the board. If he'd appealed for the race to be null and void, but I guess they didn't know it was deliberate. As soon as they had announced it, if they had put an appeal in then maybe. There's a time limit." This past month, Ecclestone disclosed that officials were aware of the incident, but chose to keep quiet to safeguard the integrity of the championship. Despite this, the 92-year-old acknowledged that he believed that the Chiefs should have taken a step to cancel the race in Singapore. In light of Bernie Ecclestone's recent remarks, former Ferrari star Felipe Massa has revisited the possibility of challenging the legality of the 2008 championship. Massa expressed his belief that he was cheated out of the title he deserved, and noted that if the event had been run today, he would have arranged things differently. As Massa finished outside the points, removing the result from the calendar would have resulted in him being crowned the champion. While he had previously inquired about challenging the legality of the championship at the time, lawyers at his team deemed it impossible. However, Massa is now once again exploring the issue following Ecclestone's comments. Massa explained, "After 15 years, we hear that the former owner of the category says that he found out in 2008, together with the president of the FIA, and they did nothing so as to not tarnish the name of F1. This is very sad, to know the result of this race was supposed to be cancelled and I would have a title. In the end, I was the one who lost the most with this result. So we are going after it, to understand all this. There are rules, and there are many things that, depending on the country, you cannot go back after 15 years to resolve a situation. Whether or not the allegations are true, the only thing that is certain is that Lewis has come a long way from who he was during his McLaren days, a notion Lewis himself believes is true. With 17 seasons under his belt, the British racing driver has achieved numerous accolades, including 7 World Championship titles, 192 podium finishes, 103 wins, and 103 pole positions. However, Lewis Hamilton admitted that none of these achievements came easily, and that he had to adapt to the challenges of F1 in multiple ways. During a recent interview with Fox Sports, the 38-year-old driver discussed how experience and time have contributed to shaping him as a skilled driver. The physicality side of it, how you eat, how you prepare, time management, understanding of tyres. I understand the car so much more now than I did when I first got here, for example. I was at the mercy of the engineers around me. I couldn't dictate a huge amount. I couldn't say, hey guys, this is the direction we need to go. Hamilton progressed from being a young man who simply followed instructions from engineers to offering valuable insights and information that influenced their decision-making. He further emphasized, I can do that now. I know what I need in the car in order to do what I need to do, in order to be able to extract my performance and the performance of the car. So there are a lot of areas where I have changed, and then there's a calmness in the mind that I have now that I didn't have then, so it comes with experience. It is with this evolution that new drivers and teammates get the opportunity to learn from Lewis. Case in point would be Mick Schumacher, who joined the team this past summer as the team's reserve driver. In his recent diary entry on the Mercedes-AMG website, Mick would reveal the immense amount of knowledge he has picked up from being teammates with Lewis and George Russell. It's been fascinating working with Lewis and George. It's an interesting period for me as I get to look over and work with 2 fantastic drivers, which you don't always get to do. I've learned a lot about what's important in terms of approaching race weekends. I feel like I've already gained so much knowledge to add to my skill set. I didn't think I would have learned and gained so much so early into my role. The 24-year-old driver would also mention that working as a backup has enabled him to gain a deeper comprehension of the activities that take place within the paddock on race day. As a driver, you usually do not get to hear what is going on between all the engineers while you are out on the track, so listening in during the sessions has been extremely interesting. I was quite shocked at the season opener in Bahrain. I did not expect the sheer amount of exchange that happens. Russell, on the other hand, would also sing praises for and give fans some insight on how Lewis is behind closed doors. In his interview with Square Mile, George would say, "I think he's a very good people person. He's very good at getting the most out of the team around him, motivating the team. He's very resilient, he's always pushing himself further, and he has a lot of hobbies as well away from the sport, which I think is really interesting, because it allowed him to take his mind away from the racing and to be in a better headspace for when he comes back. We're obviously at very different stages of our career, but I'm definitely taking inspiration from how he conducts himself, how he approaches his racing, and how he approaches his life. He's very impressive." Russell emphasized that while he considers Hamilton to be undoubtedly the greatest driver in the history of F1, he's still fully self-assured in his own capabilities to compete against his Mercedes teammate on a regular basis. "For me, being teammates with Lewis is such a golden opportunity," he added, "especially now that the car isn't performing as we want. Having him as my teammate has saved me in some regard, because if he had retired or left the sport when I joined the team and we took this step backwards, people would be pointing the blame towards me. But I feel like now I've proven my worth and I've proven what I'm capable of, so there's no pressure in that regard. I'm out there to do the best job possible, and I think that is a very fortunate position to be in. I'm not worried about any statistics or making sure that I'm on Lewis's pace or whatever, because I feel like I showed that last year. There's already been 2 races this year and I qualified ahead both times, and the pace was very close between the 2 of us in the race. What a position to be in, to go up against the greatest ever." So what do you make out of all of this? Should Massa get his way and have Lewis stripped of the 2008 title? And has Lewis indeed grown from who he was during his days at McLaren? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.